And start turning to Genesis chapter 1. Like my friend Tyler says, if you can't find it, ask a friend. Time is a huge part of our lives. Everything that we do in this world is governed by time. Each and every one of us has our time in this world. We are born, we live, we serve the Lord, and then we die. Everything in this world, including the world itself, has its time. And yet God is eternal. He is constant and never changing. He is the same forever. And He is the one who created time that governs all of us. So Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, and that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. The Lord created our definition of time. He is the one that set up our sense of time and put the boundaries of time upon us. The Lord is infinite, and His time is not our time, as we see in 2 Peter chapter 3. Look at verse 8. 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. So 1,000 years on earth is like a day to the Lord, if I understand that right. Think about that for a second. As Christians, we believe that the earth is approximately 6,000 years old. That means that to the Lord, it would only be like 6 days. Nathan and I are on Saturdays, we have started having our own Bible studies at my house, which if you ever want to join, you're more than welcome to. But he's the one who brought up the point that it was like 6 years to the Lord, and that blew my mind. Again, time is something that governs our entire lives from day to day, and yet to the Lord we are but a blotch in time. Just to think about that and to know how insignificant we truly are in this world, yet the Lord saved me. That is true mercy. The Lord is eternal, and we cannot even begin to fathom what that really means. But the Lord put time into existence for a reason. Turn with me to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. If I can get to it. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 in verse 1. To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born, and a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to rend, and a time to sow, a time to keep silence, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. I don't know why, but this verse is very comforting to me. There is a time for everything. Time is nothing to the Lord, but He set up time as a way to test us, to wait on the Lord and help us to trust in Him. Time was meant to govern our lives, but not to waste it. We are to learn the times when and when not to do these things. We are put on this earth for a reason. We are but a speck in time, and we do not have time to waste our lives on this world, but to serve the Lord. I don't know if you all got anything out of this, but I know that this lesson was truly a blessing to me, and I truly love getting a chance to dive into the Lord's word more and more each week. So that's all I have for today. Thank you. Brother Tyler, would you lead us in a word of prayer?
Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for this day that you've given us, Lord. Lord, thank you for all you've done in my life, Lord. Thank you for Brady, Lord, and his devotions, Lord, and thank you for the blessing that they've been in my life, Lord. I pray for all those who have lessons to give today, Lord. I pray for them, Lord. Lord, may you use them, Lord, to save some lost soul before they even leave these doors tonight, Lord. Lord, I just pray for this church, Lord, as we seek a pastor, Lord, as we discuss the pastor today, Lord, maybe, as Roger said, Lord, maybe stay in unity, Lord, maybe look to you, Lord, not to ourselves, Lord. Lord, maybe seek you in prayer, Lord, seek you in study, Lord. Lord, may we just not only seek your word, Lord, but obey it, Lord. I just pray that I can be like better for my life, to obey your word, Lord. I just, again, thank you for all you've done for our church, Lord, already, Lord. I thank you for each member here, Lord, each family represented, Lord, the blessing that they've been to me, Lord. Lord, I just thank you most of all for sending your son down the cross for my sins, Lord, for saving my soul, Lord, and for bringing me up in a family, Lord, that took me to church, Lord. Lord, I just thank you for that, Lord. It's such a rare thing these days, Lord, and Lord, I took it for granted for so many years, Lord, and still do, Lord, may I not take that for granted anymore. Lord, I pray for those who are sick, Lord, those who can't be here, Lord, that I see that Derek and Tracy are back, and Lord, I just pray for Amanda, Brian, and their family, Lord, they're away from us, Lord, and all those who are away from us, Lord, thank you for their home. Lord, sees in the nursing home, you can just be with them, Lord. Be with Sandra and the family, Lord, they take care of them, Lord. They travel and visit them, Lord. Travel mercies, Lord. Lord, take my papa, Lord. His sick, his illness, Lord. Lord, all those on our prayer list, Lord, my nine. Fail me, Lord, Lord, you know every name, Lord. Lord, I pray for those who are going through struggles in their life right now. We think of Mark and Nikki, Lord, that you would intervene there. Lord, be thy will. Lord, we think of some are all family, Lord, and we think of Brian and Aaron, Lord, they're expecting their child, Lord, that you would be with them, Lord. May the child be healthy, Lord. Lord, just all those on our prayer list, Lord. Lord, I just again pray for the services today. Lord, thank you for what you've heard so far, Lord. Just forgive me for I have to say my prayer.
Morning. Good to see everybody here. We'll start turning over to Joshua. We finished our study of Joseph last week. And the Lord laid this on my heart, so we're going to read a couple chapters here in Joshua chapter 1. Like Brady said, we've been having some good Saturday nights together. If y'all can join us, it makes it a little easier to ask questions as they kind of come to you, and the Lord really blesses. But we'll be over in Joshua chapter 1. Now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses. From the wilderness of this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea, toward going down the sun, shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so will I be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, thou shalt meditate thereon day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. Thou shalt make, for then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage, be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. So we see at this first part of chapter 1 here, the Lord tells Joshua that Moses is dead. Of course, Moses, because he smote the rock, he wasn't able to enter into the promised land. So the Lord took Moses off to a special mountain, and Moses passed away there. So we see Joshua, the Lord puts Joshua in command. The Lord tells him that every place that his foot treadeth upon, it is supposed to be Israel's. And he gives the dimensions of it from the river Euphrates to the Mesopotamia, or the coast by the sea there, the Great Sea as they call it there. But the Lord tells him that there's not a man that will be able to stand against him. And just how much of a blessing that'd be to be able to talk straight to the Lord and know that everybody that comes in your way, the Lord's already been there, the Lord knows who's there, but the Lord has already given you the victory. So we'll continue reading in verse 10 here. And then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, Pass through the host, and command the people, saying, Prepare your victuals, for within 3 days ye shall pass over this Jordan, to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you to possess it. The Reubenites and the Gadites and half the tribe of Manasseh spake Joshua, saying, Remember the word which Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, saying, The Lord your God hath given you rest, and hath given you this land. Your wives, your little ones, and your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you on this side of Jordan. But ye shall pass before your brethren armed, all the men of valor, and help them. Unto the Lord have given your brethren rest, as he hath given you, and they also have possessed the land which the Lord your God giveth them. Then ye shall return unto the land of your possession, and enjoy it, which Moses the Lord's servant gave you in this side Jordan for the sun rising. And they answered Joshua, saying, All that thou commandest us we will do, and whithersoever thou sendest us we will go. According as he hearkened unto Moses in all the things, so will we hearken unto thee. Only the Lord thy God be with thee, as he was with Moses. Whosoever he be that doth rebel against thy commandment, will not hearken unto thy word, and all that thou hast commanded him, he shall be put to death. Only be strong and of good courage. So we see here that Joshua goes before the children of Israel, tells them what the Lord had just told him, that they were going to cross over the Jordan, and they were going to take the land which the Lord had given unto Israel. And the children of Israel come back and say that whoever doesn't adhere to the words or hearken into the words of Joshua, says here that they would be put to death. But as we see later on, that Israel still murmurs against Joshua, but they don't hold true to their word here. But we'll continue reading here in chapter 2. And Joshua the son of Nun sent out of Shittim 2 men to spy secretly, saying, Go view the land, even Jericho. And they went and came to the harlot's house named Rahab, and lodged there. And it was told the king of Jericho, saying, Behold, there came men in hither tonight of the children of Israel to search out the country. The king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, that they may be come to search out all the country. The woman took the 2 men and hid them, and said thus, There came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. It came to pass about the time of shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whether the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. So we'll stop here for a second, but we see here that Joshua and the children of Israel over in this town of Shittim, which is on the west side of Jordan and upon studying last night, Chidam was 15 miles from the city of Jericho. It was only 10 miles from the river of Jordan. So they were 15 miles away from Jericho, and they went and they lodged with this woman named Rahab. And the king caught wind of it, and the king sent messengers unto the woman to find the men, but she had hid them, as we'll see here in a minute, up on the roof. But also upon studying last night, this woman Rahab, upon sheltering the children of Israel, we'll see later on, if you look at the lineage of Christ back through David and all that, she actually runs into the lineage of that. Her son, his name is Boaz, which marries Ruth, which became the father of Obed, which is the grandfather of Jesse and the great-grandfather of David. So upon her trust in the Lord, as we'll see here in a minute, that her faith in the Lord waxed a great responsibility and through her lineage. But we'll continue reading here in verse 6. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house and hid them with the stalks of flax which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords. And as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof. And she said unto the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, that your terror is fallen upon us, that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what he did unto the two kings of Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt, neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven, above and in earth beneath. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, as I have showed you kindness, that you also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token, and that ye will save alive my father and my mother and my brethren and my sisters and all that they have, and deliver our lives from death. And the man answered her, Our lives for yours. If ye utter not this our business, it shall be when the Lord hath given us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with thee. So we see here that the king's men went out searching for these men. They went toward Jericho, as it says there, that they went searching for them. But of course, the lady Rahab had them up on the roof. But they made an agreement together, their lives for hers. Since she hid them, they told her that whoever was in their house when they came to take the land would be saved. And we'll continue reading here, I believe in verse 14 or 15. She laid them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. And she said unto them, Get ye to the mountain, lest the pursuers meet you, and hide yourselves there 3 days, until the pursuers be returned. And afterward may ye go your way. The men said unto her, We will be blameless of this thine oath that thou hast made us swear. Behold, when we come into the land, thou shalt bind this line of scarlet thread in the window, that thou didst let us down by. And thou shalt bring thy father and thy mother, and thy brother, and all the father's household home unto thee. And it shall be that whosoever shall go out of the doors of thy house into the streets, his blood shall be upon his head, and he will be guiltless, and whatsoever shall be with thee in the house, his blood shall be on our head, if any hand be upon him. And if thou utter this our business, then we will be quiet of thine oath which thou hast made us to swear. And she said, According unto your words, so be it. And she said unto them, and they departed. And she bound the scarlet line in the window. And they went and came to the mountain, and abode there 3 days, until the pursuers were returned. And the pursuers sought them throughout all the way, but found them not. So the two men returned, and descended from the mountain, and passed over, and came to Joshua the son of Nun, and told him all things that befell them. They say unto Joshua, truly the Lord hath delivered into our hands all the land, for even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us. So we see here that she lets them down through a scarlet cord, as it calls it there, through her window, which it said that her house was in the wall, in the protective wall around Jericho. Now, also upon studying, they have actually found, upon digging, the city of Jericho. And at the heart of Jericho, there was a wall 6 feet tall, but in the inside of that first wall, it was about 6 acres. And there was about 200 people per acre is what they would say would be living here at this time. So outside of that first wall, there was a second wall, which at the bottom was a retaining wall, and in between the two walls, there was a courtyard, more or less, where the people around the town would live. And upon discovery, they believe they found her room, because there was only one part of the wall that had a house that was not destroyed. So we'll see here that they let them down through the wall, and they send them up through the mountains. And also the one wall that was left remaining, which they believe was her house, was facing the mountains, where they said the children of Israel ran to hide them 3 days. So Jericho was only about 9 acres altogether, and it had in the middle of it a spring which was able to water anybody inside of it. We're not going to read any more further today, but later on we'll see that at the time of the Israelites coming to Jericho, it was harvest time. So there was plenty of food in Jericho. They could have withstood warfare without going in or out for about 1.5 years is what studies were showing. So the fact that Jericho fell, as we'll see, in 7 days is just a miracle from the Lord. But this is all we're going to read for today. But hope you learned something out of it. I learned quite a bit last night. We'll be dismissed by a word of prayer. Brother Jason, you dismiss us.